Welcome to the Boomer's Guide to a Vibrant Life with Vickie Washburn. Vickie and her guests will share their journey of the golden years and how they're creating a vibrant life. Topics will include family, fun, life, love, travel, and everything Boomer. You too can have the best of your vibrant life now. We are broadcasting from Global Voice Radio every week, and now here's your host, Vickie Washburn.
Good evening, everyone. This is Vickie Washburn, your host of A Boomer's Guide to a Vibrant Life. And tonight, my guest is Carrie McVige. Did I say that right? McVige, okay. And Carrie is a Crown Diamond with Young Living, and I have known Carrie for about 4 years now, since I got involved with Young Living. And she is currently in Lake Norman, North Carolina. And Carrie is one of my mentors and has really inspired me on my journey of natural healing and natural health. And so tonight we're going to just talk about how we as a generation, as we age and go into those quote unquote golden years, as they like to call them, can stay healthy and vibrant and keep moving and keep dreaming and just enjoy life. How are you doing tonight, Carrie?
Fabulous.
You look fabulous.
Vickie.
I love to follow your journeys. You and Michael seem to be having such a good time.
Yes, we are. We have enjoyed traveling and helping family and team members, and we're looking forward to our next trip soon. We're going over to Italy again and Croatia.
Don't you just love Italy? I love Italy.
I do. I really didn't know how much I would love Italy until going last year for the first time.
Well, that's the way with me. I had wanted to go there since when I was in the 5th grade. My 5th grade teacher had taken a trip with a group of teachers and gone to Pompeii. And she came back and told us all about Pompeii and had pictures. And about that same time, Time magazine came out with a front page article about Pompeii and had all these pictures. And she had brought back food and different things, pastas and stuff from Italy. And I have dreamed of going to Pompeii since I was in the 5th grade, and I got to go 3 years ago and went to Pompeii and Rome and Venice and Naples and Florence. And I would go back tomorrow if I could get everything arranged and get there, because I would just like to hopscotch across the country again.
Oh, I love that story. And maybe we'll go together on another trip. And
that would be awesome.
I'd love for you to come with us one time. So how cool is that your teacher planted that seed? So how much time between when she planted that seed and when you actually went?
Well, let's see. How old are you in the 5th grade? You're about what? Let's see. My grandson is 9 and he's in the 3rd. So you're about 11, and I went at 57.
So like 46 years later?
46 years later.
Wow. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. And one of the things I wanted to do over there that I really didn't get a chance to because I was traveling with a girlfriend who doesn't really have the same focus that I do. And I really had wanted to kind of venture into some of the little apothecaries and stuff, and try to learn some of their natural remedies and the things that they turn to. And do you ever get a chance to do that when you're traveling?
Actually, that's fun that you brought that up, because on our last trip, we did just exactly that. And so we went into a little shop and I was inspired to work on my Italian language skills because she only spoke a little bit of English, but we could make out have the Latin name on the labels.
Uh-huh.
Because we just wanted to see what they were carrying as common in their little shops, and it was great fun. I actually bought a few things there just so I could bring them home and sample them.
I did. Every time I went into a like a little, I guess it would be like a little drugstore or pharmacy, which wasn't often, a couple of times, I did look around to see if they carried any essential oils or anything on the shelf, and I never found any. I did find some tinctures and some homeopathic stuff, but
yeah, the one shop we went into did have a few essential oils, but they were primarily just fragrance oils. They were blended with other things, and the shop owner couldn't tell us anything about them, which was a little bit, unfortunate, but hey, we were just happy to be exploring.
Yeah. So, that's part of the fun of traveling, is getting to explore.
Yes.
And the other thing I really loved about that culture that I think is kind of sad that our culture has moved away from, and that is that they don't really have large grocery stores where food is stored forever. They have small little shops with stuff fairly fresh, and everybody just shops, every 2 or 3 days. And
well, it appears that they have more local closed loop food than we do. And Michael and I were just amazed because here in America, we cannot eat any of the breads. If I eat any of the bread here, even if it's gluten-free, there's so many things in it, I just instantly blowed up. But when we were there in September, we ate bread, we ate pasta, we drank red wine, and we had no headaches the next morning, no bloating problems. So they have done a great job at keeping things a lot more clean and pure than we have here.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to investigating that further when we go this time. We're looking at visiting a few of the artisan producers if we can fit it all in. That's
yeah. The only problem I had with the wine, and I have never been a big red wine drinker. Mm-hmm. Most of it is just too dry for me, but we did the Tuscan tour and went to several of the vineyards that do Chianti. And so I drank Chianti and liked it. And so I drank it when we got back into town, and it kept me up until, I was awake till like 3 a.m. And I thought, I didn't think anything about it. I didn't equate the wine and the being awake.
Yeah.
And when I got home, we had a little party and, showed our pictures and had Chianti and Italian cheese and everything. And I was up till 3 again in the morning. And I thought, what in the world is this? And I talked to somebody and they said, yeah, that the Chiantis can do that. They can keep you awake like coffee. And I just had no clue of that.
Wow.
That's kind of an interesting thing to learn.
Yeah, it is.
It's amazing how food affects us. It is amazing. And it's amazing that our culture doesn't put more focus in health and relating it to our food.
Yeah, I had a pastor say most people dig their graves with their mouths.
Yeah, one fork at a time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's so true. I've been so glad to see, the resurgence of farmers markets. We're so blessed in the Tulsa area to have just beautiful farmers markets, lots of great food and lots of natural stuff, and they have it all winter long. And some of the vendors, even can and bring stuff from the summer before and sell it all winter. And that is one of the things I think is really, I'm glad to see that happening. I grew up in Kansas around farmers, but they were all wheat farmers.
Right.
And so, you know, even in my small hometown, my grandmother had a garden and my aunts had gardens, but we didn't really have a farmer's market, you know, and the food in the grocery store was not good at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm very thankful for my grandmother, Jessie, because she always had a big garden. And then my mother always had a garden of some, you know, some degree. She always had something growing. And I'm very thankful for that heritage that they gave me.
So I know you do a lot of working with people on their health. So are there some tips that you can give us that can help us easily on a day-to-day, just simple things that maybe we could incorporate in our lives that can just help us to stay healthier longer, naturally, without, you know, there's just so many things they want us to do when you get older that I'm just so opposed to that.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's fascinating to me how many people we meet that don't drink enough water. It's like as simple as that. And, you know, I used to be the person many years ago who would rather drink coffee and Coca-Cola than drink a glass of water. But I learned somewhere in my 20s that if I didn't drink enough water, I would be in trouble. And so it's fascinating to me that one of my good friends had said to me years ago that the next wars were going to be about water. And I think we're beginning to see that, you know, with all the regulations about collecting rainwater and all the online arguments about what's the best water to be drinking. And
well, and they just, you know, they've polluted our water to the point that, you know, so many times you're afraid to even drink it. I was somewhere, I don't know if you've seen my posts much, but I'm in Norman. I've been here for 6 weeks on a project, living in a motel.
Oh.
So I have been eating out a lot. And we were in a restaurant and the water just, it was like, oh, what is this? It tasted so funny. And so I just didn't, you know, I took one drink of it and was like, nope, I'm not drinking this.
Yep, that happens to us on a regular basis. So I usually order a sparkling water or mineral water, you know, as they say across the pond, mit gasa or ohne gasa. It's those I can usually tolerate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
you know, people
drinking water and go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say that people need to go to the environmental working group, and they've got a link on there where you can type in your zip code and they will tell you what your water quality is. And, you know, people need to know they should not be drinking tap water. They need to be drinking a filtered water of some kind. And it's important. So many things can just be helped by that simple thing of just drinking enough good quality filtered water.
Yeah. Well, and another one I like to tell everybody is probiotics. Probiotics, 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 probiotics. I tell everybody you need to take probiotics.
Yeah, absolutely. We need digestive enzymes during the day, and we need probiotics before we go to bed.
Well, and you know, there's some simple foods that you can get the digestive enzymes from that are really good, like pineapple, papaya, watermelon, kiwi.
Well,
what's the other ones?
Your good fermented foods like your kimchi and a good old-fashioned sauerkraut, not the one that's pasteurized and dead. but those fermented foods really have helped me tremendously over the last, 11 years or 15 years. I can't remember exactly when I first learned about those, but I've incorporated those fermented vegetables for years, and I'm happy that I learned about those.
Well, and is kombucha, is that also good?
Yep, kombucha is good. You just have to watch. Some of the ones on the market today have got too many sugar. So one of my chiropractor friends told us the other day, just keep your sugars under 4 grams on those, because you don't want too much sugar in them.
Right. Well, okay, so lots of water, some probiotics, some enzymes, maybe walking, a mile a day? Keep moving?
Yeah, we need to exercise, but, I think if people will exercise their minds and their hearts and get their hearts and minds in alignment, I think that's what really keeps you young and vibrant and fully engaged in life, and then you want to move, because you go and do, when people have stinking thinking, that's when they're sitting at home too much and not helping anybody, and then
grumbling, poor little me. I'm mad at the world's mad at me. Yep. Nobody loves me, everybody hates me.
Yes, yep. And
I'm old, I'm tired, I can't.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, let's face it, you get over 50 and you've been hurt a few times. And, people need to know that they can forgive. It's a choice. We can all choose to forgive others and not, put up heart walls, and we can keep making new relationships. And, I think that's a huge key that the average American needs to know, is that you have to have relationships beyond your immediate family that matter. Really stay in a place of vibrancy.
Yeah, I agree. And that's one of the things I love about being involved with our team.
Yes.
When I decided to join 4 years ago, little did I know that it was going to lead me to the things that it has led me to. And little did I know that I was going to be blessed in the thousands of ways that I have been blessed. But the biggest blessing of all, I think, is the friendships. Dr. Deb and I love that woman with all my heart. I would have never known her. I would have never known her. And it's funny, when she was the first person that I went to one of her classes. Oh. And I kind of was like in awe of her. I just was like a groupie. If they said Dr. Deb was teaching a class, I was there. And we were like really good friends. And it just is amazing to me. And not only that, but just the healing, like you're talking about. I was coming out of a divorce and I was broken. I was so broken. I just can't even tell you. And being involved with this group has healed me.
Hallelujah.
It's amazing to me. And even, the young women that I've met through the group just inspire me so much. I'm just so blessed to see this younger generation of, I hear so many people my age talk about the millennials in a very negative way. Yeah. And I always go, I don't know who you're talking about, because the millennials I know are amazing, smart, motivated,
yes,
wonderful human beings that are looking for a better way. They're trying to move back to the old ways and kind of bridge the modern time with the old time instead of being stuck, you know, just in this technology world or just in the old world. They're trying to find ways to use it all. And I am so amazed by them sometimes.
Yes, me too. In fact, it's great that you said that, because I was thinking about, you know, what I would want to say to this age group. It's that, you know, the young people need us.
They do.
They need our wisdom. They need our encouragement, and they need our love. They don't need to be condemned and shot down and made fun of. They need to know that we appreciate them.
And that we've been where they are.
Yes.
You know, they're young. Okay. So they don't know everything. Well, that's okay. They're not supposed to.
Yeah. And we live long enough to know that we don't know it all either.
Yeah. But what we do know that they don't, it's kind of our job to impart that upon them. And the younger we can give them that knowledge, it just gives them that much of a head start over where we were. Absolutely. You know, and I tell my kids that all the time. You may not like what I'm telling you, but I'm telling you something that somebody neglected to tell me. So I had to learn it the hard way. And hopefully if I tell you about it, you won't have to go through it to learn it.
Right.
or you'll be able to go through it more successfully than I did.
Yeah.
Or you'll be able to step up on my shoulders to the next level because I've already done this part. Now you do the next part. And that's kind of what dynasties are built on. When they, you know, you see people like the Rockefellers. That's how that happens. One generation boosts the next generation up, and they help them to step up to the next level. And that's exactly what we need to do for the younger generation. And with all this negative going on about, you know, the violence that has happened of late, I just keep saying to everybody, I think the problem is we need to find these at-risk kids and love them.
Yes.
You know, I don't want to negate that this young man is responsible for what he did, but when you look at his history, it kind of breaks your heart. You know, it's kind of sad that he had lost so many in his life.
Yes. And we have so many people that, you know, are I don't want to say completely brokenhearted. They are. Their hearts have been broken. And, you know, if we would just look at them with the compassion and try to reach those broken places, we can make a difference.
Well, and I think like you said, our age group, you know, there's so much wisdom that we can impart, and there's so many things we can do to help others, even our own age. You know, I don't even know if they still have this program, but I know for a while you could go volunteer at the library and help teach somebody to read that had never learned to read.
Yeah.
And
well, you know, one thing I'm learning is that we need to talk to people more. And you know,
we need more community, less isolation.
Absolutely. And
especially as we get older, because the older we get, the more isolated we get.
Yeah.
You know, I just said today, I found out today that a good friend had an aneurysm burst in her brain. And in the last year, I've had several friends that have just fell over dead, you know, and so as we get older, that starts happening more and more. You know, it's just part of life. And your circle gets smaller and smaller and smaller because that happens to the people in your life. Wow. And so you have to be constantly reaching out and meeting new people so that circle doesn't get so small that you're the only one in it.
Yes. And I think it's all too easy to do that. But, that's why I say we need to keep our hearts open. And the only way to keep our hearts open is to address the grief and address the hurts and not bury them. And then that allows us to stay in that place of loving kindness. There's no law against loving kindness. And, I was thinking about Aunt Carrie. Did you ever know Aunt Carrie? She's a legend. She fought the nuclear plant from going in up at Inola. And she was a nurse, owned a nursing home for a while, and then she ran the health food store in Claremore for a long time. And then when she got too old to do that, I think the Army recruiting office took over her space. They wanted the space where her health food store was, and anyway, she was such a gem, and it was such a blessing to watch her age, because even from her nursing home bed, she was the kindest and sweetest and most optimistic person you could ever meet. And some of my friends and I talked about how we can only pray and hope that we will be as gracious and loving and continue sowing seeds from our deathbeds, because it was just so amazing. And I'll never forget her calling me one time from the nursing home, and she said, "Honey, I just can't move my bowels without some kefir." And she said, "Would you bring me some kefir?" And then I said, "Well, I would be thrilled to bring you some kefir." And then she said, "Well, you have chickens, don't you?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am, I have chickens too." And she said, "Well, would you mind just stirring 2 raw chicken eggs into that kefir for me?" And she said, "Now be sure nobody sees you bring that in here."
Yeah, because they'll take it away from you in the nursing home. I know. That's priceless. My grandmother worked in her beauty shop till she was 89 years old.
Wow.
And when she closed it at 89, I said, "Why now, Grandma?" And she said, "All my clients are in the nursing home. They have a beauty shop out there. I'll just go out there and use theirs."
Oh, wow.
And so she continued for another 2 years doing hair, but going to the nursing home and doing it. And then my aunt and uncles put her in the nursing home because they thought she was getting absent-minded.
Oh.
So she lived the next 4 or 5 years in the nursing home, but
Yeah.
up until then she was going out there doing people's hair in the nursing home. So
Wow.
she was an amazing woman, and I told her all of her life that I wanted her to live to be 108 because I just couldn't bear the thought of living without her. And she's like, "Oh, I don't know, honey." She lived to be 98, but she told me all the time, "Well, I don't want to live to be 108, but you can." So I tell my kids all the time, I'm going to live to be 108. So I got to figure out how to do it and do it vibrantly, because I am not doing it in a nursing home. So,
oh, what a beautiful legacy, though.
I know I'm very blessed to have good genes. Both my grandmother and my great grandmother on my mom's side lived to be 98.
That's
and my
awesome.
grandmother on my dad's side lived to be like 86, and her health wasn't near as good, but I'm not real sure why her health wasn't good. She really was not a woman of vices. And so, other than being a little overweight, she really, except she didn't like vegetables. She wouldn't eat vegetables. That's probably the reason she was not so healthy. She did not like vegetables. She made the best dadgum bread in the whole world and worked for years making pies and those great big tall, they were like this tall dinner rolls.
Oh.
Those great big huge. She made the best dinner rolls on the planet, and she worked for years in restaurants making the dinner rolls.
Oh, wow.
And so she ate a lot of bread and no vegetables. And buttermilk. That was her thing, bread and buttermilk. Those were her two favorite things in the world.
That is fun.
And she still lived to be 86, so.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah. So, I like what you said about the heart and the head, because I really think that is probably the biggest key, because I think so many times at our age, we kind of give up. You get older and you just give up. And it's like, I've seen this in generations past where somebody retires and they come home and sit in the recliner, and 2 years later they pass away. Well, I haven't gotten out of the recliner in 2 years. They just kind of came home and gave up on life and didn't have a purpose. And that was one of the things we talked about last week with the ULA guys was, we all have a purpose no matter what our age is.
Yep.
And like you were talking about your friend, Aunt Carrie, in the nursing home, I mean, she still had a purpose.
Yep.
Her mind, she still had a purpose.
Absolutely.
And Dr. Dave was talking about, or Dr. Troy was talking about how his grandmother was in the nursing home and said she couldn't do anything else, but she could pray. She said, I can still pray from my wheelchair. I can't do anything else, but I can still pray for people. So that was her purpose. So she still had a purpose every day.
Yes. And, I appreciate the ULA guys' work so much.
I do too.
I went to one of their ULA Paloozas and I failed fun.
See, I would probably fail fun too, because it seems like all I do is work. It's like I just told this guy I date, I just told him, I said, we have got to do something fun. We need to go to nature somewhere. We need to rent a cabin. We need to go fishing, go hiking. Let's just relax and have a good time and just breathe some fresh air. And
yes.
I just am so needing that so badly.
Yes. Well, since then I have worked on it, and a couple nights ago, Michael and I went out to dinner, and where we went to dinner was just a block away from the movie theater. And so I thought, okay, I can do this. There's no reason we have to go right home. So I said to him, "Go see a movie." And he looked at me like, who are you and what have you done with my wife? He was like, really? Just right now you want to go see a movie, and we didn't have to plan it a week ahead. And I said, absolutely, let's just go see this movie. And we did. And it was so nice. I thought, okay, I can do this. I can just have fun.
I have a friend that her son, she's a few years older than me. And she retired. She worked for Dollar Thrifty. And when they sold, she retired. And she only has one son. And she overheard him say something about, mom's retired. She doesn't have any fun.
Oh.
And it pissed her off. And so she decided that what she was going to do for fun was she was going dancing. And so she went dancing every single night of the week, someplace.
Wow.
There are that many places? She's telling me this story. I go, is there that many places to go dancing around the Tulsa area? She goes, every single night. You can find someplace to go dancing. And I said, what about the smoke and the drunks? She goes, nope, I'm not talking about bars. She goes, there's places you can go where they do dance lessons or they do just get-togethers. And she said some of them are in Inola and some of them are in Shakota. Not Shakota, is that right? What's the one over by Inola?
Yeah, I think it's Shakota.
I always get those mixed up, the one down by Eufaula and the one over by Inola. anyway, and she goes, some of them are in Claremore and some of them are in Tulsa. And she goes, but there's someplace you can go dancing every single night. And she said, I did it for a year. And she met this wonderful man, and now she helps him at the farmers markets with, he sells vegetables and homemade goods from the people over by Inola. And so, but it just made her mad. He thought she was so boring, she had no fun.
Yeah, well, I've decided, that the ULA guys are right. You need to have these areas of your life in balance, and life is a lot better when things are in balance. And so we usually stop at the beach regularly because I love going to the beach. To me,
yeah, that's me too. That's my fun.
Yeah.
Summer and fun and family. See, and to me, family, my birthday's the day that it changes. My day's the first day of summer. So it's the day that it changes from Gemini to Cancer. Well, Gemini, the sign of Gemini is known as a party animal. And the sign of Cancer is known as a homebody. And so I tell everybody that I like to party at home. So that's my favorite thing to do, is just have a bunch of people over to the house and have a barbecue and swim and just, enjoy each other and have fun. But I'm like you. I love to travel. I love to go to the beach. I love anything to be, anytime there's water anywhere, I'm all about that. I love it.
Awesome.
But, I have a hard time kind of finding the things that I think are fun.
Yeah. Well, so much of what I do, to me is fun.
Yeah.
But it's, because I'm blessed to have created a life of work that pays me to do what I like, which is helping people. But there are times that, because I help people with such, serious losses and hurts, that I need to, regroup and refuel my tank by doing things that are just fun and completely unrelated. So it's just amazing, and I feel so blessed that God has answered my prayers.
So tell me if you have anything on your bucket list that you would like to do that you haven't done that would be fun.
I want to take a trip to South America and spend some time in the Andes with native weavers. That's on my bucket list.
That does sound fun to me too.
I absolutely love textiles.
Me too.
Awesome.
My grandmother sewed. I said I never had an outfit that my grandmother did not make until I was in probably the 8th grade, and that's because I started making my own.
Wow.
And I still cannot walk through a fabric store without just touching everything. I love very tactile, very tactile. I love and yarn. Oh, I just love to go feel natural yarns and yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
That's so fun to learn, Vickie.
Yeah. And when I travel, the two things that I always without fail do is go check on if they have lace lace that's made locally.
Yes.
Or silks or some kind of fabric that's or blankets or rugs that are a local thing.
Yeah.
Pots. I love pots, pottery. If it's woven out of straw and stuff, I even more so.
Yes.
Any of that stuff, that's the thing I gravitate to, is to find those kind of local things. I've got hand woven baskets from Belize. Every time I go, I try to buy one from a lady, that's sitting there making them, and I love that stuff.
Yes, I love supporting artisan work as well. I think I've always been fascinated with how to go from raw materials to finished products. And I think, my parents kind of instilled that in us because they always admired high quality handmade products,
Yeah.
really early on, it was about all the leather work for horses, saddlery. My family has good friends that own a saddle shop, and they do all the leather tooling and bridle reins and handmade saddles, and they do just really nice work. So I grew up around that, and so I've always really really loved craftsmanship. And we've gotten to this place where all the jobs have left America, and we have all these people that don't value high quality because they don't really know what it is. And we really need to encourage, I think, our youth to learn some of these craftsmanship skills that some of the older generation valued and really had. I think it was out at I think it's the Kerr Historical Farm that they do, workshops. And I remember going out there one time and just absolutely loving watching the process of them taking sorghum and then using a mule to press it. And then they had some guys with a big brick oven cooking the sorghum down to just where it had the right amount of moisture left in it so that it could be canned and then sold. And I just remember standing there thinking, all of our young people need to get reconnected to our earth. Yes. They need to be a part of this process of creation,
Well, and I think, I hear a lot of people, you hear a lot about preppers,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not one. I've always been one of those people that said, I've read the Bible, I don't see in there where it tells me I'm supposed to prep for anything other than just to pray.
Mm-hmm.
But I do believe,
Get your heart always prepped.
Yeah, my heart needs to be prepped, but I don't think I need to stockpile a bunch of stuff.
Right.
But I do think that it's important for all of us to know how to survive should we need to, off the earth.
Yeah.
We need to know how to grow food. We need to know how to make things out of what God has given us.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, He gave us this great bounty.
Right.
And I think that there's just so much that, like you said, is getting lost. I do, again, it's one of the things I really love about the millennials, because I think they're starting to take an interest in all those things again.
Mm-hmm.
And they're fascinated by it, because I think they kind of haven't heard about it, because a lot of maybe my generation or my kids is, I've got great grandkids. So, I think my kids' generation didn't want anything to do with it, because technology was so new when they were young that's all they cared about.
Mm-hmm.
And now I think their kids are starting to go, yeah, but what about this?
Well, I think it's just basic to humanity to want to belong and to be a part of something bigger than ourselves. And like I have, kind of mixed feelings about the whole group of people that spend way too much time gaming instead of actively engaging in what I call the real world. But in talking to some of them, part of the the draw is that feeling of connection. And it's, something I think we need to look at and try to draw them back into real world activities so that they feel connected to people next to them instead of somebody, that's so far away and not really a part of their daily life.
Well, and again, something that we can do as a generation, especially once you're retired, you could do a class on sewing.
Absolutely.
Do a class on gardening.
Yeah.
You could do a class on basket weaving or crocheting or making fermented foods or, there's just so many things that need to be taught to the younger generation besides work. I think we've done a real good job in instilling in people that they've got to work.
Mm-hmm.
But we've forgotten to instill upon them on how to live. Yes.
Well, and women especially ought to be teaching the younger women. And I've been in this place where I felt like, as a young mom, I felt very abandoned. I felt like I wasn't taught to be a mother. I was, shuffled towards the college career woman path, and nobody taught me anything about how my body worked and the joys of being a mom. And now I'm in this place where I just, made a connection with a homeschooling mom, and I offered to do a workshop for their homeschooling group to teach the kids the process of taking, raw wool to roving to hand spinning it with drop spindles. And she was thrilled to have somebody offer to do that for the children. And I think, a lot of people have skills that they think, well, nobody really cares about that, so they don't really reach out and offer it.
Right. They don't value it themselves,
mm-hmm.
So they don't think anybody else is going to value. And yet it's a lost art that we cannot allow to be lost.
Right. And it's a simple way to connect with the younger people and plant those seeds of talking about how amazing Italy is. And we don't know what that will do someday in that child's life, now do we?
No, we don't. It can be such a wonderful thing. Well, you know what? We have been on almost an hour, so I think we're probably going to have to wrap this up. I could just talk to you forever. And I can't wait to see you again at the next whatever event we happen to be able to cross paths at. There may be convention this summer. I'm actually going to caravan with Cheryl Gates in her new RV with a couple other ladies, so I'm expecting it to be quite a grand adventure.
Oh my word!
I love Cheryl anyway.
Camera in that RV.
We will have so much fun. I just know it. So I just love her so much.
That will be the best reality TV episode ever.
That is a woman that knows how to have fun. She definitely knows how to have fun, even if she's by herself, she has fun. I just adore her. Again, another one of those people I would have never met. And now here I am going to take a cross-country trip with her.
Yes.
It's just been such a blessing. So, well, I've just enjoyed talking with you so much tonight. And I hope our listeners have gotten a few nuggets out of our conversation and that they can take those nuggets and go out and maybe find a purpose for their life and find some joy in sharing their knowledge and their wisdom. And I appreciate you sharing your knowledge and your wisdom. And
thank you for hosting, Vickie.
And this is Vickie Washburn, and this is a Boomer's Guide to a Vibrant Life. Thank you all.
Host of The Boomer's Guide to a Vibrant Life. Connect with Vickie at www.globalvoiceradio.com. Tune in next week for another edition of The Boomer's Guide to a Vibrant Life on Global Voice Radio, where your message and your voices are heard.